Hey, people, listen up. It's a fucking lockdown right now.
Come off it. We're not in a prison drama, are we?
We are in a prison drama. This is the fucking Shawshank Redemption, right? But with more tunneling through shit and no fucking redemption.
Screw you guys. I'm going home.
Sheriff, this is no time to panic. This is the perfect time to panic.
It's not the end of the world.
I ain't going with you. I'll go with Child.
Hey, fuck you, Palmer!
I'm going with you.
Who says I want you going with me?
All right, cut the bullshit!
Has the whole world gone crazy?
Hey! Everybody calm the fuck down.
I understand it ain't anybody perfect on this green earth. Not preachers.
Look here, I know preacher.
And you can tell folks better how terrible sin is if you know from your own experience.
In a world of sin and seduction, there's a lot of ways of getting saved.
My name is Oni J. Holy,
Some do it with style.
and I am a preacher. I don't mind you knowing that.
I'm going to the city.
Some have other plans.
I'm gonna do some things I ain't never done before. I started my own church. Church of Truth Without Christ.
Protestant? There's something foreign.
Oh, no, ma'am, it's Protestant.
What Hazel Motes wants is a good car and a fast woman.
Do you think I should neck or not? I shall not enter the kingdom of heaven anyway, so I don't see what difference it makes.
What he gets is the last thing he wanted.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Holmes Movies Recommends. I am Anders Holmes, and as always, I'm joined by my brother Adam over Zoom in America.
Hello.
We can't really do this in person because, well, you know.
Well, we live in different countries, but
Yes,
yeah, no,
that's
ongoing. There is an ongoing coronavirus pandemic, even though many people are vaccinated, including me. We, you know, people are still dealing with this thing, which means some people should stay at home and some people should watch movies. And we can recommend movies to watch when you're staying at home and avoiding the pandemic.
And you could also listen to our Bond Backwards episodes and maybe, you know, check out the Bond films at the same time and see what, if you know, could make a thing out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Watch Bond backwards as you listen to Bond backwards.
Yeah. Do you know what film I watched recently that I hadn't seen in a while? I had to watch it for my movie club that I'm doing with my friends, but no, it was Chinatown.
Oh well, that's a fucking brilliant film. That's one of the best films. That's like, for me, that is in the pantheon of the truly great movies.
Yeah, that is, I would say, a cinematic masterpiece. It's so good. It like I feel like just
movies. You said cinematic masterpiece.
What?
Nothing.
Did I?
I love that you go with cinematic masterpiece and I go with great movie.
Yeah. So that's just
normally I'm the pretentious one.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We good cop, bad cop. It switches back and forth between us. But no,
yeah, bad cop, worst cop in our case.
Yes, very funny. Yeah. So I really like that film. It's so good. I think just Robert Towne's screenplay is just amazing. It's just
not all Robert Towne, of course.
It's true. You could make that argument, but he was the one that walked away with the Oscar. So, what are you going to do?
Right. Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Even though his ending was ruined.
Yeah, I know. But like, have you ever seen the sequel, The Two Jakes?
No, I've never seen the sequel, The Two Jakes. Is it good?
There's a very interesting production history, and it's sort of looked at.
So this is no. In other words,
no. But it's just it's interesting just looking at it because the whole, you know, Chinatown is like a noir storyline, but it also is a history of LA, a history of LA, and in showing how it became what it is. Like, you know,
sure, Mr. Gibbs.
Yes. Sometimes you bring water to LA, or you bring LA to the water.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any time? Do you serve fish with the head on?
What? Yes, of course. I was for a minute. I was completely lost, and then I realized.
Yes, I was
what talking about.
No, so like, yeah, Chinatown was about water. Two Jakes is about oil, and the third film, I think, was going to be called Giddies versus Giddies, was about transportation and how America has become a little bit polluted, but LA got polluted because of by freeways and cars and everything like that. And that, if most people know, that became the inspiration for Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
So yeah, like originally the film was supposed to start shooting in 1985, but the film didn't come out until 1990. And they had a lot of actors already lined up. They had Kathy Moriarty from Raging Bull and Copland. And I think that would have been very interesting to put her in the film because she does look a little bit like Faye Dunaway. They also had, I think, Kelly McGillis, Joe Pesci, Dennis Hopper, and Robert Evans, who's producer. He was going to star in the film as the other Jake, which then turned out to be played by Harvey Keitel in the film. But yeah, I mean, I think Jack Nicholson does very good work behind the camera as well as in front, because Jake Gidd is one of his best characters, and his performance in both films is really good. However, Robert Towne's screenplay was just not really there in The Two Jakes. I think it's a very convoluted storyline, and it's very... While Chinatown was a very convoluted story, you were able to kind of understand it, and it was a bit more accessible. And I think on rewatches, it gets better, and you sort of catch certain things you didn't see the first time. But I think maybe if I watch Two Jakes again, maybe I might catch things again that I didn't catch the first time. But no, it's a good, for what it is, it's fine. It's not anything special. It's, you know, it's a good looking film. Vilma Zsigmond, the cinematographer, is on it. Yeah. So it's got some good people behind it, and you also got Eli Wallach making an appearance, and Tom Waits, randomly enough, shows up.
Forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown.
Oh, you are apparently playing with someone's privates in the bathroom. That's his line in the film.
Really?
Yes. It wasn't a joke.
Playing with someone's privates in the bathroom.
Yeah.
The pirates. The pirates is playing with the privates in the bathroom.
Yeah. So yeah, when it came, yeah. So it's fine if you want to check it out.
The Two Jakes, an inferior sequel to a very good movie.
Can we move on?
Yes, sorry, I'm stuck.
Okay, all right, okay. It's like a mixture of Eddie Vedder and Tom Waits. It was hard to tell what it was.
Yeah, I'd mind Tom Waits.
It's like a dash of Gordon Lightfoot also in there. But anyway, so last time you recommended Pow Wow Highway, which was a very interesting film, which I really want to watch. So the film that I'm going to recommend is a film I watched over last month. It's a first-time watch for me.
It took you a month to watch a film?
No, I watched it. No, it didn't. No, I watched it last month. So it's in June, yes. It's the 1st of July when we recorded this, in case anyone's curious.
Why would they be curious?
I don't know. So anyway, the film that I'm recommending is a movie released in 1979, and it has a little bit of a Chinatown connection because it's directed by John Huston, and it's called Wise Blood, and it's based on the novel of the same name by Flannery O'Connor.
I do not know this movie.
So the movie stars Brad Dourif as a man called Hazel Motes. He is a man who comes back from an unspecified war. It isn't really talked about in the movie. In the book, it's the Second World War, so you could say he's come back from the Vietnam War. So he comes back to the South. He comes back to his family home. It's been abandoned. He's plagued by memories of his grandfather, played by John Huston, who was a preacher who had tents and talking about Jesus and everything like that. So that really kind of affected his life. So, and Hazel is a very, he's a wanderer. He doesn't really have a place to stay. And throughout the movie, he kind of goes from place to place, and he ends up in a town. Where the hell did they move it? It was in, they filmed in Georgia. And so he meets, it's a film that really doesn't have that much of a plot, but it's a little bit like a Jim Jarmusch movie, where it's like you follow a main character, a protagonist around, and all the various different people that he meets. One of which is Harry Dean Stanton, who is a guy who also pretends to be a preacher and also pretends to be blind. He has a daughter, or someone who's related to him, played by actress Amy Wright, who becomes very infatuated by Hazel Motes. And Hazel Motes is a guy who is not a big fan of the Lord. So he decides to be like this anti-preacher and start up his own church called the Church of Truth Without Christ. And it's of his own creation. So it's, he kind of goes against God and the afterlife and sin and evil, and say we control our own existence, basically. And I think it's a movie about religion and how often it can warp someone's view of the world. And also it's about people trying to find purpose in their lives, and also trying to find, meaning in what they do. And also it's it's a weird film. Like, it's a very hard film to categorize. Is it a comedy? Is it a drama? It's a little bit of both. There's not really there's a little bit of a resolution at the end. It feels a bit aimless, but it's very interesting. You feel very engaged with Hazel Motes and Brad Dourif, who most people know was Oscar nominated for playing Billy Bibbit in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which had
I just watched that the other day.
Great film. Jack Nicholson starred in it, so again, another Chinatown reference. And also Brad Dourif is the voice of Chucky in the Child's Play series, so he's one of my favorite actors.
He's Doc Cochran in Deadwood.
And he's Doc Cochran in Deadwood, of course.
Oh, and Grima Wormtongue.
Yes, exactly. Grima Wormtongue for all you Lord of the Rings fans.
He's a brilliant actor. He's in so many things, Brad Dourif. He's
so good.
Whenever he turns up, he's great. He has a small role, I think, in The Eyes of Laura Mars, that weird giallo sort of horror.
Yeah. John Carpenter wrote the screenplay for that, I think.
Yeah, it's a very interesting film. That.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dourif is one of the great actors. I mean, he's so good as Billy Babbitt in
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, and I mean, so yeah, this sounds really interesting. It does not sound like a John Huston movie.
It doesn't sound like a John Huston movie. It's far from what I sort of connect with John Huston. It's very different from The Maltese Falcon. It's very different from something like The Man Who Would Be King. It feels, I feel it's his most experimental film, and it's a very like indie production. Like, it's like, I think they made it for like $2 million. So it's very like guerrilla filmmaking almost. And there's a lot of humorous characters. I think it's a very character-based film. It's very character-driven. It's not really driven by plot, even though there is kind of a plot in the movie. But, there's a lot of great performances in it. Like Brad Dourif, as I just mentioned, he's just very like mesmerizing, very like haunting and mesmerizing at the same time. He's a very, like, you sometimes feel for him, but other times you're a bit frightened by him. And I think he can just fly off on the handle straight away. And like Harry Dean Stanton, of course, is great. And also, of course, the now late Ned Beatty is in the film. He has a small little role in the movie.
R.I.P.
You must atone.
What is that, Tom Waits again? Oh, no, that's Ned Beatty in
Network.
Network, yes. Yeah, someone pointed out that he, and I agree with this, he delivers two of the greatest voice performances in sort of recent animation history, right towards the end of his career. And one of those is Lotso, but the other one is the character in Rango, who's based on John Huston's character in Chinatown.
Yeah, so we're just bringing it all back to Chinatown.
Coming full fucking circle.
Yeah, this episode should be called 6 Degrees of Chinatown or something like that.
Yes. So you got your John Huston, you got your Brad Dourif, you got a weird movie.
Yeah.
And I want to watch this. This sounds great.
It's a very, very good film, and it's basic. I feel like he's channeling directors like Jim Jarmusch. It's a very like indie directors.
But this is before Jim Jarmusch.
But this is very much before Jim Jarmusch, and I think in many ways this could inspire all these people who are just like, okay, we have a camera, we have a location, let's just go out and shoot stuff. And I think he's also channeling people like William Faulkner or even someone like Tennessee Williams, like a little bit of those guys. It does make me want to read a lot of Flannery O'Connor's books and stories. Like, I haven't read any of her stuff.
Flannery O'Connor is great. A Good Man is Hard to Find is one of the greatest of all short stories. And she has a number of other, of course, great ones. Yeah, I'm definitely, what little of hers I've read, I really, really appreciate.
The screenwriter of the film, Benedict Fitzgerald, who also co-wrote the screenplay to The Passion of the Christ, which is the film directed by Mel Gibson.
Yes.
When he was a child, one of his babysitters was, according to Wikipedia,
Jesus Christ. One of his babysitters was Jesus Christ.
No, it was Flannery O'Connor.
What?
Apparently, so yeah. So there's that little connection to the film.
Oh, well, then, so why not? You know what? I just figured out it's on the Criterion Collection, so I might watch this film.
Yeah, it's a strange film. It's a very hard film to sort of categorize in what sort of genre it is, but it's very interesting. You really, it's. I mean, you don't. At times, it kind of jumps from it. We see the world through Brad Dourif's eyes, and we start to sort of listen to him and his viewpoints on humanity, and that there's no sin. We're the makers of our own destiny, basically, in a very sort of nihilistic sort of way. But at the same time, when it goes to like other people, like Dan Shaw's character Enoch Emery, who's like this very weird childlike person who's just trying to belong, find friendship with Brad Dourif, who wants nothing to do with him, and also just trying to help him along with his like crusade of building a new church and stuff. It's very humorous, but at the same time, it's a little bit sad. So it's yeah, it takes you on a different sort of emotions. You feel a lot of different emotions with this movie, but it's very engaging. It's an extremely engaging film and very experimental. Given what John Huston did before this movie.
I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah.
You've sold me. I'm looking forward to it. Well, that was great. Perfect recommendation for this project that we're doing.
In 2000,
we have a list. People can check out our list on Letterboxd with all the films we've recommended.
Exactly. And I will say, just on the last thing on the Wise Blood, in 2003, the New York Times did place this film on its best 1,000 movies ever list.
They are such wankers when they make these lists, though. They do all these like kind of New York Times like lists of like the greatest actors working right now and the greatest movies of the decade and the blah blah blah. And I hate movie lists, even though we're about to start a project where we're literally going to make lists. But I hate other people's movie lists, and because they're always wrong. But you know what? Sometimes I when it's 1,000, like the 1,001 movies you must see before you die by Stephen Schneider. Roy Scheider? Rod Steiger. By Rod Steiger.
You want to see this movie?
Yeah. Before you die!
It's like, why is this movie on this list? Why is this movie on this list? I will not watch this movie. I will not!
Hi, Dougie.
Any fans of Waterloo?
There are no fans of Waterloo. Well, there probably are, actually. I feel like it's one of those films that if it was just like 10% better, it would be as loved as like the Battle of Britain or Zulu or something. But as it is, it's a bit of a mess. But Rod Steiger is very funny as Napoleon. The part he was born to play.
Yeah.
So check out the Letterboxd, because that's where we make lists, and and our lists are actually good, except some of Anders's are bad.
Thank you.
I'm only joking. I did do my John Wayne list that I'm very proud of the John Wayne films I've seen ranked from most left wing to most right wing.
Curious to check that one out.
Most of them are right wing. So have fun with it. Letterboxd is like the positive social media. Let's have fun on Letterboxd before it gets ruined by the world. Like Twitter is broken, Instagram is full of people's bottoms and them doing the sausage legs thing in the sun and taking
there is a lot of bottoms,
asses, a lot of asses, a lot of it. I mean, in both senses, a lot of people being asses and a lot of people showing their asses,
and a lot of people showing food as well.
Yeah, well, I do that, so that's all right. I don't show my ass though. That much. And that Facebook, of course, is a joke at this point, and obviously Mark Zuckerberg is one of the great cunts of the world. So go on Letterboxd. It was founded by film geeks. It was founded by people who want to share information about films and rank films and rate films and talk about films. Yeah. And that's all it is. There's some really good people on there, like us. And like Mel Bowie, and like he's good. Who are some people you follow?
I forgot. I can't
you
remember.
Are so bad.
I can't remember anyone off the top of my head.
Tom Waits. Tom Waits is not on there.
No, I do.
My Tom Waits impression is just going down the toilet. You just don't mind doing it.
I thought you were about to do like an impression of Mads Mikkelsen for a second from Casino Royale.
I wasn't. Anyway,
a Bond. I'm just thinking another Bond movie. That if they ever do another Bond movie, they should get Tom Waits to either play a role in the film or do the theme song for the film.
Now, okay, I can agree with that. Normally, your ideas are terrible, but this is an idea that I am very, very firmly behind.
Yeah, exactly.
Goldfinger is the man with the Midas touch.
The ball.
My voice hurts.
Yeah. That did hurt my throat a little bit. But anyway, Wise Blood.
Painful for us, it's painful for the listener.
Especially people just pulling out their headphones like, ugh.
Yeah, just people in their cars just like, ah!
So why did you crash into that tree? Someone on a podcast.
Yes, there was a long period of talking, and then someone started yelling in the Tom Waits.
That sounds like a right winger. There's a long period of talking and then yelling.
Well, follow us and return to see what I recommend next time.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing what you recommend. So yeah, do check us out on Apple Podcasts, tune in, Spotify. You can also send us an email at homesmoviespodcast@gmail.com. You can also check out our blog. I just posted a couple of pieces about Chinatown and the Two Jakes. You can check them out. I'll also add them in the episode description. So yeah, there we go. Bye.
Oh, and You're Innocent When You Dream is a great song by the great Tom Waits, which I've been listening to a lot, and I recommend as well.
Old 55 is a good song as well.
We love Tom Waits.
Yes. There was a murder in the red barn, murder in the red barn.
We have to go.
All right. See you later, guys. Bye.